It's Tuesday, October 11th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including an update on the person found dead in a burning car in Milford over the weekend. Also, an FCAC coach suspended after striking a student's helmet, and a lot more. Frank Granito joins us with a Nutmeg Sports update and a look at your forecast. And later on, Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. But first, the cause of death of a person found in a burning car near the Connecticut Audubon Coastal Center in Milford on Friday night has not yet been determined. According to the state medical examiner's office, it may take 6 to 8 weeks to determine the cause of death, which an office spokesman said is the usual time frame. The person's identity has not been confirmed yet. The state medical examiner's office has a tentative identity and is waiting for police to confirm it. Sources have said that the deceased is an older Milford man. On Monday, the smell of smoke could still be detected past the Audubon at a wooden walkway that is now closed to pedestrians. A pot of flowers had been placed at the start of the boardwalk, which leads across the beach and toward the water. Milford Police, Fire, and other agencies are investigating the death. According to Fire Battalion Chief Anthony Fabrizi, at about 10:30 p.m. Friday night, Milford firefighters responded to the report of a car fire, and when they arrived, they found the car fully engulfed in flames. Fire crews deployed a hose line to extinguish the blaze and discovered the body of a person inside. Firefighters did not say where inside the car the body was found. You can get updates on that story at milfordmirror.com. And Meriden authorities say that a Connecticut woman saved her 7-year-old daughter's life by pushing her out of the way moments before she was struck and killed in a hit and run. Police say that 40-year-old Dania Segueno Della Rosio and her 7-year-old daughter Denise were crossing a street in Meriden on Friday night when they were struck. The Record Journal reports that the girl told police her mother saw the approaching vehicle and pushed her to safety. Segueno Della Rosario was taken to a hospital where she later died. The woman's daughter was hospitalized with minor injuries, but she has since been released. Police say the driver fled the scene but left behind a mirror and casing. That investigation is ongoing. And a New Canaan college student was hit by a car in Rhode Island late last week. 20-year-old Charles Deary was released from the hospital on Saturday. He was a former New Canaan High School track athlete, and he was recovering at Rhode Island Hospital after being the victim of a hit-and-run driver on Thursday, October 6th in Cranston, Rhode Island. The Brown University student suffered a concussion and broken bones in his shoulder, hand, and leg when he was struck from behind while filming a school project. According to a police statement, Deary was standing on the edge of the roadway videotaping a documentary for school using a camera on a tripod at the time he was struck from behind. According to News 10 in Providence, witnesses said the car fled the scene after the accident. The car likely has headlight, hood, and windshield damage, but you can get more on that story at ncadvertiser.com. And Darien High School varsity football coach Rob Trifone was recently suspended for 2 weeks following an incident in which he struck the helmet of a student. As per the school's statement, during the course of a varsity football game held at Darien High School on Saturday, October 1st versus Norwich Free Academy, an incident occurred with Trifone. A witness at the game, who chose to remain anonymous, reported to the Darien Times that in the second half of Darien's 45-6 win, a Darien lineman got into a verbal altercation with an NFA player. While the referees tried to separate the two players, they both continued to hurl insults at each other. Finally, the referees instructed that Trifone and the Darien coaching staff remove the player from the field, to which they obliged. As the player walked up to an upset Trifone, the coach reportedly chewed him out and slapped him open-handed on the side of the helmet, according to the witness. Trifone's suspension lasts through this Saturday, October 15th. Darien is scheduled to play Brian McMahon High School of Norwalk at home on Saturday at 1:30. Former captains of the Darien High football team have written a letter of support for the coach, which is currently up on DarienTimes.com. And our sports director, Frank Granito, will be following that story on Nutmeg Sports today at 2 o'clock. And in other news, in Trumbull, in response to a Democratic statement demanding Police Commission Chairman Roger McGovern step down from his post, First Selectman Tim Herbst issued a statement that said, in part, last week I and others asked Mr. McGovern to resign from the commission. Herb said McGovern refused to do so, and as a result, his office and the Trumbull Police Commission have referred the matter to the Trumbull Ethics Commission. He said per the town charter, the Ethics Commission is the only town body that can recommend removal from office. Herbst went on to say that what he finds interesting is continued hypocrisy of Trumbull Democrats. He said when Democratic Chairman Tom Kelly was sanctioned by a 6-0 vote by the Ethics Commission for conduct as a Board of Education member, not one Democrat honored the findings of the Ethics Commission and called for his resignation. However, there's a lot more on that story at TrumbullTimes.com. And the Connecticut Post reports that a Shelton firefighter was injured battling a blaze Monday afternoon. Officials said the firefighter, who was not immediately identified, suffered minor injuries when he fell through the attic of a house. The fire broke out shortly after 3 in the afternoon in a single-family raised ranch house at 42 Sharon Drive. Echo Hose Companies 1, 4, and 5 were dispatched to Sharon Drive for the structure fire. They arrived to find a one-story residential home with heavy smoke showing from the attic. Engine 42 went to work and began to knock the fire down, and the crew pulled a second line onto the home and assisted with suppression and extensive overhaul. Crews remained on scene for some time, knocking down hot spots and cleaning up. That last unit cleared the scene just after 5 p.m. yesterday. Fire Marshal James Totora said the firefighter was treated at a local hospital and released. But let's switch gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. It was so cold this morning, Frank.
It was very cold. We are getting into the heart of fall now, Kate, but we'll see plenty of sunshine today. A high of 62 degrees and wind gusts up around 7 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy in the late afternoon and overnight, as we will see temperatures falling down into the high 40s. Wednesday will have on and off periods of clouds and sun throughout the day, an expected high of 64 and a light breeze during the afternoon before a cloudy Wednesday night heading into Thursday morning. A little warmer on Thursday though, temperatures up around 70 degrees, partly sunny skies during the day. Things should clear up overnight though on Thursday, with temperatures dropping down into the mid-50s heading towards another sun-filled Friday. That's going to do it for this weather update. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We are going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Eng takes a look back on this day in history. Frank has an Up Mix Sports update, and we have some more news, including some Milford condominium residents trying to save a sick swan, coming up after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, from A, apples to Z, zucchini, and from cotton candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. InSports College Baseball Coaches Camp takes place at InSports on October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This unique, limited-space event features many of the area's top college baseball coaches who will work with high school players in a hands-on clinic setting, as well as evaluate their infield skills. For more information, contact Mike Buswell at InSports, 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the fronters on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We are back on this October 11th edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Ang. Don, what do you have for us today?
Kate, I'm still basking after winning the pool last week. This is kind of a new experience here. We're going to start in 1767. Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon finished resolving a border dispute involving Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware in colonial America. The dispute dated back to 1682 when Charles II of England had granted a charter for Pennsylvania, but the southern border of the colony was north of Pennsylvania, which had already been named colonial capital. During the war, the Mason-Dixon line marked the unofficial boundary between slave and free states. It is still a demarcation line among 4 states forming parts of the borders of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and West Virginia, which itself seceded from Virginia. To 1962, Pope John the 23rd convenes the First Ecumenical Council of the Roman Catholic Church in 92 years. Among the monumental changes that came with Vatican II, which lasted 3 years, by the way, priests began celebrating Mass facing the congregation and in their language. Nuns ditched their traditional habits, and those in religious orders began taking a much more active role in social causes. The Church also increased the respect paid to other religions, particularly Judaism, as the Pope acknowledged the Catholic Church's Jewish roots. To 1975, the NBC sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live debuts. George Carlin hosted the pilot and performed 3 monologues, including the famous football versus baseball routine. And speaking of baseball, 2003 in Boston, there was this.
Yourself under control. Now Ramirez. That ball's not even close. You talk about looking for a reason. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Oh, that's awful.
Yes, during a brawl during Game 3 of the American League Championship Series, Pedro Martinez throws 73-year-old coach Don Zimmer to the ground during a brawl. The next day, Martinez apologized to the injured Zimmer and was famously rebuffed. "I was the guy who charged him," Zimmer wrote in his memoirs. "To the people who say Pedro beat up an old man, I say, no, an old man was dumb enough to try and beat up Pedro." It's Don Zimmer. That is a look back in history for today, October 11th, and I'm Donald Ng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, some developing news out of Greenwich. Lake Avenue closed right now between Rockridge Avenue and Midwood due to a motor vehicle accident there. We have a photo from the scene shared by Greenwich firefighters. They report that they did have to extricate the driver from the truck. We'll bring you updates as they become available. But we are going to throw it over to Frank Granito now for a Nutmeg Sports Update.
Thank you, Kate. Let's take a look at some of the scores from around the conference yesterday, and we will start with girls soccer. Fairfield Ward traveled to New Canaan as the Mustangs and Rams played to a 1-1 draw. It was the keepers for both teams, though, who stole the show. Megan Christensen making 5 saves for Fairfield Ward, and Kendall Curtin coming up with 7 saves for New Canaan. Down at Brian McMahon, the Senators came up just short, falling to the Danbury Hatters by a final score of 3-2. We had 6 boys soccer games that took place yesterday. Staples and Norwalk tied 1-1. Ridgefield and Central played to a 2-2 draw. Ward picked up a 2-0 victory over New Canaan. Ludlow blanked Trinity by a score of 5-0. Danbury able to handle McMahon 4-1. And West Hill coming out on top of St. Joe's by a score of 2-1. We'll have girls soccer action today live from St. Joe's at 4 o'clock when the Cadets host the Vikings of West Hill. Again, coverage at 4 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. Only one FCIAC football team was in action over the weekend, and that was the previously unbeaten Staples Wreckers. Staples traveled to NFA on Saturday afternoon and fell at the hands of the Wildcats by a final score of 33-14. Juwan Johnson ran for 277 yards along with 3 touchdowns as the Wreckers defense had no answer for the senior quarterback. Staples, now 4-1, will look to rebound on Friday night this week from Boyle Stadium against the Stanford Black Knights. For a full recap of that game, though, you can tune to Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Donald Nying and I will update you on all of the FCX standings as well, along with more news as it develops on the Rob Trifone suspension. And of course, we will have our Week 3 winners for Athletes of the Week presented by Runner's Roost, along with the Week 4 nominees. Again, that's on Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. That's going to do it for this Nutmeg Sports update, though. Let's send it back over to Kate.
Thanks so much, Frank. In other news today, residents at Caswell Cove in Milford are raising money to help with the recovery of a swan that got sick last week after it got stuck in an aeration tank at a nearby wastewater treatment facility. Caswell Cove Association President Dottie Bateman said the swan is being treated for respiratory issues at the Wildlife in Crisis Nature Center in Weston after swallowing sewage from the tank. The swan, according to Bateman, is one that lives near the condominiums and among a group that residents refer to as our swans. Milford's wastewater division firefighters and animal control teamed up to rescue the swan from that aeration tank last week. On Wednesday, October 5th, the swan was found floating in one of the tanks at the Housatonic treatment plant. Several wastewater employees and animal control officers tried to get the swan out of the tank, but with no luck. Eventually, firefighters were able to capture the swan in a net and bring it to safety. They hosed off the swan as best they could, and animal control officers returned and brought it to Wildlife in Crisis, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to wildlife preservation. But you can get much more on that story at milfordmirror.com. And a man accused of abusing an 8-week-old puppy was arrested 3 times in under 3 hours, according to Thomaston police. They say that 45-year-old Ronald Bovin of Plymouth was first arrested after police said they received a report about an intoxicated man who was abusing the puppy. The incident happened Monday on South Main Street just before 5 p.m. WFSB reports that Bovin was issued a misdemeanor summons for cruelty to animals and then released on a promise to appear. The puppy was taken into protective custody by Thomaston Animal Control. Before leaving the area, however, Bovin was seen by officers cursing at the people who made the initial complaint. Police said they arrested him a second time and charged him with breach of peace. He was released on a $1,000 bond and ordered not to return to that property. However, around 7:30 p.m., police received another complaint about Bovin being on the property. He was arrested for a third time and charged with criminal trespass. And according to the Ridgefield Press, cannons and cavalry, militia and musket fire, a Battle of Ridgefield reenactment is planned next spring as Ridgefield Masonic Lodge leads a celebration of the 240th anniversary of the fighting that took place on April 27, 1777. According to organizers, they're talking to several groups that are reenactors, and they're hoping to at least reenact the entrance of the British from the west-southwest portion of the town, essentially in the beginning of Main Street, down by the turn and marching up the hill to reenact the battle, ending at Keeler Tavern. Plans are to have the reenactment on April 29th, 2017, 2 days after the battle anniversary date, so that it will fall on a Saturday. But you can get a lot more information on that planned reenactment at theridgefieldpress.com. And P90X creator and celebrity fitness trainer Tony Horton will be appearing at Trumbull High School on October 22nd at 10 in the morning to raise money for the Trumbull High School Athletic Department. The morning will include a workout, a question and answer session, and photo session. Tickets are available currently online. Tony Horton is the creator of the best-selling fitness series P90X, as well as several others, including 22-Minute Hardcore. He's also written the top-selling books Bring It, Crush It, and The Big Picture. You can get a lot more on that event at TrumbullTimes.com. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to recap some of the stories that we're following today and get one final look at the forecast coming up on your coffee break after this.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through September 30th.
1, 2, 3, Abby! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on! I can push myself way beyond what you think.
Pressure technique. Bring it back.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican Grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure with me, Steve Coulter, and our Arts and Leisure editor, Sally Sanders, Mondays at 12:30, right here on the HAN Network.
What's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State?
Join Kate Czaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN Network. We're back on this Tuesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the top stories that we're following today, including that the cause of death of a person found in a burning car near the Connecticut Audubon Coastal Center in Milford on Friday night has not yet been determined. According to the state medical examiner's office, it may take 6 to 8 weeks to determine the cause of death, which they said is the normal time frame. The person's identity has not yet been confirmed. The state medical examiner's office has a tentative identity and is waiting for police to confirm it. Sources have said that the deceased is an older Milford man. On Monday, the smell of smoke could still be detected past the Audubon at a wooden walkway that is now closed to pedestrians. A pot of flowers had been placed at the start of the boardwalk, which leads across the beach and toward the water. Milford Police, Fire, and other agencies are investigating the death and the fire. And Meriden authorities say a Connecticut woman saved her 7-year-old daughter's life by pushing her out of the way moments before she was struck and killed in a hit-and-run accident. Police say that 40-year-old Dania Segueno Della Rosario and her 7-year-old daughter Denise were crossing a street in Meriden on Friday night when they were struck. The Record Journal reports that the girl told police her mother saw the approaching vehicle and pushed her to safety. Segueno Della Rosario was taken to a hospital where she later died. The woman's daughter was hospitalized with minor injuries, but she has since been released. Police say the driver that fled the scene left behind a mirror and some casing, and that investigation is ongoing. And a New Canaan college student was hit by a car in Rhode Island late last week. 20-year-old Charles Deary was released from the hospital on Saturday. He had been recovering at Rhode Island Hospital after being the victim of a hit-and-run driver on Thursday. The The Brown University student suffered a concussion and broken bones in his shoulder, hand, and leg when he was struck from behind while filming a school project. According to police, he was standing on the edge of the roadway videotaping a documentary for school using a camera on a tripod at the time that he was struck from behind. According to News 10 in Providence, witnesses said the car fled the scene after the accident. Police believe that that car likely has headlight, hood, and windshield damage. And Darien High School varsity football coach Rob Trifone was recently suspended for 2 weeks following an incident in which he struck the helmet of a student. According to Darien High School, during the course of a varsity football game held at Darien High on Saturday, October 1st versus Norwich Free Academy, that incident occurred. A witness at the game who chose to remain anonymous reported to the Darien Times that in the second half of Darien's 45-6 win, a Darien lineman got into a verbal altercation with an NFA player, and while the referees tried to separate the two players, they both continued to hurl insults at each other. Finally, the referees instructed that Trifone and the Darien coaching staff remove the player from the field, which they did. As the player walked over to an upset Trifone, the coach chewed him out allegedly and slapped him open-handed on the side of the helmet. Trifone's suspension lasts through this Saturday, October 15th. Darien is scheduled to play Brian McMahon High School of Norwalk at home on Saturday at 1:30. Just recently, the Darien Times posted a letter to the editor, former captains of the high school football team, writing a letter of support for their coach. But Frank will be talking more about that on Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock, so be sure to check that out. And finally, fall colors are starting to come out in Connecticut. Here is a look at the Toshua section of Trumbull over the weekend. I know we're excited for more of those colors to start changing, but let's throw it over to Frank to find out what's in store in the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. We finally got some rain over the weekend, and we will be rewarded. Looking like plenty of sunshine this week. Starting out today, a high of 62 degrees, sunshine all day long, wind gusts between 7 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy, though, in the late afternoon and overnight, with temperatures falling into the high 40s. Wednesday, we'll have on and off periods of clouds and sun throughout the day, an expected high of 64 and a light breeze during the afternoon before a cloudy Wednesday night as we make our way into Thursday morning. A little warmer on Thursday, though, temperatures up around 70 degrees, partly sunny skies during the day. Should clear up overnight, though, and with temperatures in the mid-50s, as it looks like Friday will have the most sunshine from dawn until dusk at the end of the week. Let's go back over to Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Frank. We're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. The Drive with Denise coming up at 12:30. Nutmeg Sports, of course, at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Girls soccer, West Hill at St. Joe's, so be sure to check it out all on the HAN network. We'll see you tomorrow for your coffee break at 11.